Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also, below this video, there is a link to get £50 for switching your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Top of the morning to
Good
you,
morning.
Sheriff Brady.
Top of the morning to you, Neil.
Hey, we'll have none of that. No idle racism at the beginning of the show, if you don't mind.
Well,
I'll
be
make a
idle.
toast.
We're never
I'll make
idle.
It's never idle racism. How dare you? It's overt and blunt.
Never
Right.
idle racism.
As we were discussing it in the pre-show, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Never idle Earth curvature.
That's been debunked by the Black Swan.
That's correct, Neil. It has indeed been debunked by the Black Swan.
Hello.
It's
Owen.
also here, and it's also
Owen.
been debunked by the properties of water and how water behaves.
I'm an even bigger fan of Arwin at the moment because he keeps blowing smoke up my ass every show. Thank you, Arwin, for all the nice words. I really appreciate it, by the way. I am totally blushing right now.
Hey, I mean it. I really appreciate.
Don't launch
Everything
into it. You will
that you've
genuinely
done.
embarrass me if I'm here while you're saying those things. But thank you. I do appreciate the kind words. I'm much obliged. So yeah, Arwin's giving me big props in his show, The Flat Earth Early Bird, on the Arwin YouTube channel. Subscribe today. So check it out. Much obliged. Really appreciate all the kind words, Arwin, in all seriousness.
All right.
He also pointed out that Mark Sargent had given me a mention. So they're discussing, him and Karen are discussing Earth, and they're basically saying he's getting more and more blunt with his appearances. So obviously he's a guest on shows as opposed to here where people who come are my guests, which makes it worse for me when you hear what I'm about to say. But there we go. So as a guest, Dave is getting a bit more blunt with the people he's speaking to, going, you just don't understand, try and use your brain a bit more. And Mark replied, well, he's not at the Nathan Oakley level quite yet. But he's getting there. In other words, very much a negative spin on. He's heading towards Nathan Oakley levels of sass with his appearances, which I thought was quite amusing. But Arwin highlighted that for me. Thanks again for pointing out that link, Arwin.
Yeah, I had just heard it like 50 minutes before the show, and I thought Nathan's gonna think that's funny.
I did get a kick out of it, yeah.
Hey, and every mention is a mention. You're now a household level of approaching things, apparently. So
I don't know, getting a derogatory shout out from Mark on Strange World isn't necessarily being a household name, but I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, any evidence
Doing
of
a bit
physical Earth
more
curve?
of that. Are you announcing that? I thought you got out planned, or
What, sorry?
you were saying you're doing a bit more householdy stuff. You'd been asked to be interviewed or something by.
Oh, yeah, I'm always asked to be interviewed by various different people. In this case, it's just a small YouTube channel, so it's
Yeah.
Zetetic News.
Well, maybe you're not a household name yet, but you're definitely the woodshed hero.
Indeed.
Wait a
Anyway.
second. Nathan was talked about on a construction site. I remember I heard that.
Yeah, I think you were there.
Well, this is lovely.
Father of a stolen child said he heard construction workers talking about Nathan Oakley. That's it, buddy. You made
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but you work on construction sites and you play the show out loud for everybody.
Oh yeah. That I do.
That tickled me more that you were told not to be talking on your headphones. So you're like, okay, I'll just stick it on speaker then, and you can all listen to Flat Earth Debate while I'm fitting up a set of stairs or whatever you're doing that day.
Yep, that's what I did.
Right, anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about me. What do you all think about me? No, I'm only joking, said Johnny Bravo line. Moving on, any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
If there was, we would notice it. But no 15-degree spin of the Earth.
You just don't understand globiolis.
Oh, I do.
I don't think you get my drift.
Oh, I do. I definitely do.
Oh,
I'm happy with the position with Coriolis at the moment. It was so clouded in double-speak nonsense, and there was no seeming explanation to why or how somebody could convolute the subject so easily. You know, you rack your brains and you get the conspiratard answers. But in reality, we've literally, and maybe in the last week, I've figured out it's just literally holding two positions simultaneously. It's just cognitive dissonance. And I think we'll find that at the bottom of a lot of the explanations for why is it this person can deny the thing they've claimed 30 seconds ago and then hold a completely contrary position. Well, that is literally the definition of cogdis, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it is.
And they'll say it like 20 seconds before, and then 20 seconds later, they'll say the very exact opposite and not even be aware of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing mental state to be in, cognitive dissonance.
But holding two contradicting positions is not illogical. Come on. It's
It's what?
It's the new normal. Everybody does it these days.
Oh, everybody's doing it these days. It's okay, man. Hold both positions contrary to one another simultaneously and defend one and then deny that you defended it and defend the other and then deny that you defended that. Why not? Everyone's doing it. Everyone's
I'm a
doing it.
racist, but I believe in equality.
Okay. Look, it's entirely up to any fundamentalist religious zealot with a bald belief to reify a not actual drift at 15 degrees now because we're turning underneath stuff and then deny that it's supposed to even happen. That's their bag, not mine.
Next.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
That's
Well,
nonsense.
they only made up that meaning for gravitas because they need something rotating. In the previous question, they hold two positions. It is rotating, it isn't rotating. So I don't know how gravity comes to help them when they made it up for a rotating Earth that isn't rotating.
No, gravity doesn't involve itself in a rotation. It was really conjured up to bend the direction of the relative density displacement into circular fashion, into spherical fashion, actually, to a center point. That was really the only reason why they conjured it forth.
So the vast oceans are on the ball. How?
Are you asking me?
Uh-huh.
Because of gravity? The thing that
Is
nobody
that-
knows what it
Hey,
is.
see
but
how
they
we
like to
can-
think of it as a force?
How we can correctly identify where the priesthood lay out the rhetoric in the globe Earth model or the heliocentric model officially. But he can also, when cornered, like he's just done, appeal to the trench level rhetoric of, well, I'm immediately going to appeal to this not actual force of gravity to hold the oceans here if I'm put on the spot. You know, well, why wouldn't I use both positions and correctly identify the first and then use the second, which isn't true anymore? It's not a force. But he'll still appeal to it. Well done, kudos, Arwin. And so quickly and swiftly, too.
I wasn't done. Let me finish with them. So if the Earth is not rotating, how does it hold the water? And if the Earth is rotating, how does it hold the water? Since you hold both positions simultaneously, Baller, Arwin.
What? Oh, gravity. What? How does the Earth rotation have to do with that?
Well, 20 seconds earlier, as you're playing Baller Arwin, you said the Earth is not rotating underneath objects, and now you're saying it is. So how does this water, with this gravity that is supposed to hold it to the from the center of the Earth, some kind of force that's not a force, how's it holding the water if the Earth is a ball and not turning? And then when you want to say the Earth is turning, how is it working? since you hold both positions?
I didn't say that. I never
You're
had
supposed
those
to be
words
baller
with-
Arwen, not
Oh, I'm
amnesia.
supposed to be. Well, you
No,
just
he's
put
being
words in
baller
my
Arwen.
mouth that I didn't say.
Yeah, he said he didn't say that. That was his response, 10th. Very appropriate too. He claimed he
Oh,
didn't
no.
claim it. Next,
Very
Darwin,
good, 'cause-
demand
We were
that
talking
10th...
about gravity. What does this have to do with the Earth spin? It's no
thought-
relevant influence to it. I already said that.
I said baller Arwen. That was your cue, but then you had convenient amnesia.
That's part of being Baldwin. That's
Baldwin. I love it.
Well played. Well played.
I was going to
You're
say,
a
that's
Baldwin?
textbook. Everything Arwen did was textbook. He even had you over a barrel at the end, 10th man, because you didn't know where to go with it.
Oh, I knew where to go with it. He just had another answer for it.
Where I
But
would
I
have
don't
gone
know
as...
why you brought in Earth spin when we were talking about gravity.
Yeah, he asked you how the oceans were held to the ball Earth, and you said gravity, which was perfect. One word answer, no
Yeah.
explanation.
Right. So what's the problem then? What is
Well, the problem is 20 seconds earlier, the ballers would say the Earth is not rotating. So how is it holding it when it's not rotating?
Well, it doesn't really matter whether it is rotating or not. Gravity is going to keep the water sticking to the ball anyway.
Ah, I see. So it's just demonstratable, this gravity of yours.
Yes, the water's sticking to the ball Earth.
Affirming the
isn't that
consequent
big in the
logical
question?
fallacy. Perfectly executed.
Isn't that begging the question, Baldwin?
No, it's if P then Q, Q therefore P.
Well,
Right,
it
if,
would be
if
begging the
gravity...
question if
No,
I
let me
wasn't
just lay it out,
absolutely
Arwen. Hold
certain
on.
that the
Hold
Earth
on.
was a ball.
Arwen, let me just lay out your formal logical fallacy. If we've got gravity, then the oceans will be held to the Earth. The oceans are held to the Earth because we've got gravity. If P then Q, Q therefore P.
Right. But I don't need to basically address that because I know the Earth is a ball, and when you know something with certainty, then using presuppositional systems is okay.
Right, any evidence the R value? R value. Any evidence?
Can I just
Nonsense.
tip my hat to that, Arwen? Respect, prof.
Yeah.
So-
Got to give him props as well, because the fact that Arwen can do that during a housekeeping question without getting me annoyed and dragging it out too long is epic. He just knows how to do it quickly, which is good.
It's the genuineness of the response as well. Well, because it's... Well, where's the proof of gravity? Well, because water sticks to a ball.
The only thing it lacked, Arwen, the only thing it lacked was at some stage what would have been perfect is if you demanded that 10th man prove that you make the claim of gravity in the first instance. That would have been epic.
Yeah, but that would be kind
Yeah.
of complicated because we don't know what gravity is yet. So yeah. That'd be a
Well, I
good
know how
point,
water
actually.
sticks to
Like,
a
why
ball.
are you telling us that we claim gravity when we don't even know what it is? Why are you negative?
Yeah, how dare you?
I can
That was
I can
How
prove water
dare
sticks
you.
to a ball.
You can prove what, Neil?
Water sticks to a ball.
Oh yeah, how'd you prove that?
I have a sponge ball. It's loaded with water.
Does it drip out the bottom of it or evaporate out the top?
Only if you squeeze it, and only if the sun comes out, it'll evaporate it.
We still talking about a sponge?
Does it ever drip out the top?
No,
Ah.
the bottom.
Bummer.
Right, but the Earth is not a sponge, though.
It could be with all the land and stuff. Doesn't land absorb the water?
Some of it.
Are you arguing for sponge Earth or what?
I have a theory.
The moon
Sponge Earth.
kind of looks like a sponge, so
What looks like a sponge?
the moon.
I have a new theory I'm working on. Sponge Earth.
I'm already thinking of SpongeBob.
Hold on, Arwen's put a
Sponge
claim
Earth,
out.
SquarePants.
Moon sponge, you say, Arwen?
Well, yeah, it's been seen as cheese, but you could think of it as a sponge too. Why not? I was just trying to support his train of thought.
Okie dokie. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Not yet. But Alwyn thinks there could be one day.
Lucy, how
Right.
is your YouTube
Well, they
page?
can do it. It's just, are they going to do it? That's the question.
Does an iTunes account count?
Oh, here we go. Dr. Becky hasn't had a mention in a few days. Did you want to add something, Flat Earth Solar? Or did... It's hot micing, my friend. Can you pop yourself on mute?
She's cleaning it for him.
Okay.
Clearly not. That for you. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, no evidence for the distance to the sun.
Oh, Mr. Sensible was in my chat today. I had a very long talk with him and some other regular ballers in my chat about that distance and how, like I was saying, okay, no, it's holographic because only evidence and phenomenon we even have is light-based. It's all light-based, whatever we get. There's no signs of physicality to it. And there's ways of actually confirming whether it would be physical or not by applying laws of perspective, because physical objects are in literal physical locations. They have to occupy some physical literal space somewhere. And then, yeah, you could try to approach it and see if a perspective applies whatever's going to happen, or whether something very unusual is going to happen, typically associated with holographic phenomenon. And that is that the visual will bend away and such. And I discussed that very elaborately on my show in the last half hour or hour, something like that. But yeah, I don't think you really have a distance to any of it. I think that you can never reach it. I don't think it even changes in angular size in angular size as you would get closer, like that, in a persistent way with perspective laws. So no distance to the sun.
Did I see you get a super chat from Mr. Sensible as well for being nice to a baller?
Yeah.
Well, I just caught that as we just logging in.
It's not the first time though. He's done it before, and I have other ballers too that give me super chats because I don't go full Nathan Oakley on them, even though I could, by the way.
Can we not make that a thing,
I think
please?
you know when
Hello?
he disappears after the live show finishes. I reckon that's what are you secretly coaching ballers, and this is how they're paying you?
Probably. He's probably charging.
Yeah, you should, because you're better than they are at it. So
It's the beginning of a $6 million fundraising tour.
Hey, don't spoil it. No, I don't know, man. I'm just doing what I feel needs to be done. And I think that the biggest problem we have in general, which even came to this situation of flat earth and ballers everywhere and ball zealots, is communication issues. I think that a lot of problems and conflicts in general, when it comes to these kinds of philosophical issues and physics issues, can be resolved when communication is improved and restored. And that doesn't mean abide by the rules that are convenient to one side. That means just learning to both from all sides. Yeah, just give each other a little bit more room to let things sink in, and don't pile stress on, because that piling on stress usually ends up in having more difficulty trying to understand complex things, you see. Now, that doesn't mean that Nathan doesn't fulfill an absolute critical function over here, because baller zealots, there's nothing, they will never see reason. That's why they typically end up here, to get stomped, because that's the only way you can actually reveal that they can never step away from their position. They've become incapable of doing that. Right? Sorry for rambling on.
That's you're describing zealotry, and yes. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Another one of those things that they believe because there's no way of knowing, because they haven't dug down there to know, and they tried with that borehole in Russia, but they pre-assumed they were digging into a sphere anyway. So they're always going to pre-assume everything.
Tip of the day in chat summed it up. It says, lying causes a lot of stress. Yeah, it does. my chat not working on here? Figure that out. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does cause a lot of stress.
Right. But lying is also often used as a defense mechanism at the same time to defend against the stress. But then afterward, the lying itself does bring turmoil with it.
So is that when they have two positions on one subject? Is there lying or is it cognitive dissonance?
Well, it's a combination of both just zealotry, just believing it can be resolved and they're figuring it out. And that's what makes them hold on to it, basically, in such moments. And at the same time, if we just not try to ram it in their heads, they might end up eventually just realizing it. But this whole globiolus that they've made, it is really just a kind of like gravity. It is a construct, a machination based on an original real concept and then taken totally out of whack into this fictional construct to fool everybody into the earth being a ball somehow.
Well, let me give you an example. In the pre-show, I showed Nathan actual sun rays, and they're divergent. And the heliocentric globe model says, no, they're parallel. And a baller could open his eyes, and his eyes will show, no, they're not parallel, they're divergent. But for my heliocentric position to work, I need to believe they're parallel. So what position are they in right now?
Quick shout out to Adriel, who says, I got some cabbage for righteous force. I have no idea what that means, but thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
Arwen, that was directed at you.
What? Cabbage?
No, not the.
Oh. No, sorry. What did you say again?
Oh, okay. No, that's a good comeback right there. That's a good.
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah. All right. So the heliocentric model says the sun's rays are coming in parallel, and that's the only way it's going to work for their model. And they have illustrations, drawings. But in actual photography and your own eyes, you see the sun's rays coming divergent. So you never see them coming in parallel. So what's happening here with the baller?
Well, yeah, imagining the sun to be a giant thing at a vast distance with enormous amounts of lights that arrive to us, yeah, that brings in complications. And when reality points out that that's not actually the case, right, it's already a mistake because it is really based on the offset that it is a physical object in a Euclidean location somehow giving off light, right? That's already a mistake. The reality is that it's just not that at all. It's not close, it's not far away, it's not an object. But yeah, if you're going to think it's a giant object far away, then indeed the natural consequences would be that light would have to be pretty much parallel because it's fast and it's very big, and the farther away it is, the more parallel the light that will reach you would have to be. And if it's not, yeah, they got a mechanical problem.
Right,
so that wasn't.
Sorry, 10th. I very foolishly said don't make this a thing. So Godzilla's obviously decided to fully utilize it as a thing. So I'll read it out, although it's also a slight slant towards Arwen. So what are you talking about, Baldwin? Says Godzilla with super chat. I pay to have Nathan go, quote, full Nathan Oakley, end quote, on Ballers. So yeah, that's my bad for trying to say don't make it a thing. And thank you for the super chat though, all the same. Godzilla 37. Too concise, Arwen. You're supposed to drag it out to the point where I get annoyed, apparently.
Well, I could try to rumpish you, if that helps.
Not really. That definitely won't help. Not when I want you to give it as concisely and as quickly as their position takes.
Notice how my point got convoluted between full Nathan Oakley and Arwen's
my bad.
long description.
Feel free.
Of the
Sorry.
sun. No, I'm okay. I'm on it still. So back to Arwen. We're talking about the rays of the sun. We don't care how far the sun is away or how it's made. That's not the subject. We're talking about what your eyes see versus what they say has to happen for the heliocentric model to work. So when the baller sees all the rays of the sun divergent, and yet the only way their model stays alive, just not even true, but just stays alive a little longer, those rays have to be parallel. But no one's ever seen parallel rays.
Any response, Arwin?
What's the
If not,
baller
I've got
do?
one more housekeeping question.
What's the baller do there?
That's probably what is it? The celestial refraction. Yeah, yeah, that would be it.
But
It's
you
just
think
the
that-
atmosphere is thinner, so it kind of splits the light up through refraction, and then it
So-
becomes the way you said it,
Okay, good.
something like that.
So that means Eratosthenes and all the other things they use parallel lights for can't happen because of the refraction, right?
I've got it on screen for the audience, Arwin. So these lines that are being used with wells and considered parallel, you're saying they're bent. So this isn't possible for the audience's benefit on screen now.
What?
What? What?
It would only it only bends when the atmosphere is really thin. So down to Earth, eventually it is kind of parallel. What? I'm getting a little confused here. What am I supposed to be
So it's-
arguing for again?
So,
Parallel.
so
Parallel.
so-
Well, you're arguing for parallel lines being bent, and what we're having pointed out by 10th Man is that they're divergent.
Right.
You mean right?
So Arwin is saying they're parallel except when they're bent.
Right. Well, it's just like terrestrial refraction. You know, atmosphere is really weird. It makes things and light bend and all that. So if it's going to bend the horizon into seeming like a flat plane, then why wouldn't it be able to basically make the sun appear much closer by? Right? Makes the Earth seem further away and flatter, and it makes the sun look closer by kind of splitting up the light as it enters our atmosphere. In this
Well, if it's refracted and bent, how can they take a straight light ray to the center of the Earth?
That's just conceptual. They never actually did that.
Are they bent or straight,
room
Arwin?
in
Are
the
they bent?
center
If so,
for light to shine into.
bent or straight? If they're bent, none of the stuff works. If it's straight, then why have we got them claiming to be converging with eclipses, but in reality they're diverging? So we've got three problems. Are they bent? Why are they showing as diverging? Why they claim to be both parallel and converging? Three problems.
Sounds like mathematical problems to me. I don't know. Celestial refraction makes perfect sense to me. I can't help that their calculatory approaches of previous supposed proof that the Earth is a ball have been mistaken, because they just didn't understand that there was such a thing as celestial refraction, just like they didn't know about terrestrial refraction before. So
So
Yeah.
you can't help parallel lines being bent.
well, you can, because the sun rays are divergent as far as we can see at Earth, but it is
So-
a giant ball very far away. So it would have to be parallel at first and then diverge as it enters the atmosphere through celestial refraction.
Can't have both. Can't be bent and straight. Right, I'm going to do a few shout outs for super chats. And Godzilla, you get in your way because this is getting annoying. Anyway, right, a couple of quick shout outs. So, shout out to Julio Pabon, who says, "We do not live on a Julio-centric Earth." Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Julio Pabon. Also, woo woo woo! Shout out to James Richards for the $50 super chat. Says, 7 and the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, square brackets, and they shall be altered from all their ways, close brackets. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. Tenth, can you translate that for me?
Refracted.
Sounds like
gods.
he's reading from the Book of Enoch.
That's a refracted small g god, I guess. I'm not sure what he's saying.
Thank you very much for the super chat, though. Really, really do appreciate the support. Also, another shout out to Godzilla. Cabbage is sometimes slang for money. Excuse me. spend more cabbage to tell you that. Cabbage means money.
Mhm.
So some money for, you saying I've got to pay someone? No, that's not going to happen. So if it was cabbage for Righteous, I'm really sorry, Righteous. Your cabbage isn't coming your way.
Grow your own cabbage.
Thank you very much for the super
Yeah.
chat. Really appreciate your support, Godzilla. But times are
Yeah,
tough.
let us alone.
I got one more housekeeping question.
Neil, it is Book of Enoch, isn't it? I just searched it.
Yes, that was from the Book of Enoch.
Kudos for knowing where it's
Yeah,
from.
that's not. Yeah, back to parallel and bent lines here, if I may, unless someone.
No,
wants to
I
finish.
actually wanted to use that.
Oh,
super
Howie
chat
wants to
as
talk
a
immediately.
opportunity
He's
to
getting
talk
more
about
baller by the
something
day, isn't
slightly
he?
different.
So, no, the moment 10th wanted to consider or have a point considered, Arwin then needs to talk immediately. I think that's the perfect baller tactic. Well done, Arwin, again.
Yes. No, but I have a serious point, though, about that super chat. With the super planet, it's very interesting because there's something to it. What if researchers earlier indeed did try to research the nature of the celestial lights, and then they were so baffled about what they discovered, about what they just didn't understand and didn't know about the 7 planets and what they looked like and their influence, that they might have, just because not understanding it, have in some way declared them godly or something. Maybe that's
Well,
what
that's nice.
That's nice.
nice.
And
Let's get
hold on,
back to
10th.
what
Hold
I was
on.
talking
On the
about.
one, hold on, 10th. On the one hand, I want to give you praise and also shout out to Adriel, who says, Godzilla, Guy, not my cabbage. Guy got my cabbage. Is that English? Godzilla, Guy got my cabbage. Okay. Here's some more cabbage to Nathan. I'm totally lost with this whole cabbage thing. And then, ayu! Thank you very much for the super chat, Adriel. Okay, I was trying to get you on track. Stop. Everyone stop. Right, I do appreciate the support, and I do appreciate you trying to dissect a $50 super chat, because I appreciate the support so much. However, let's get back on track. We've got 2 positions that were summarised by Arwin prior to this, right? The first was that it's bending light. The second was that it is actually coming in parallel, but then bending. However, the picture that's been on screen while we had that little obfuscation distraction from our resident Baldwin Arwin is that they're not doing any of those things. I've got the picture on screen. So let's get back on track. Bendy, what was it? Bendy parallel, right, Arwin? Yeah? We're back on track.
No. It's not bendy parallel. First, they're straight, and then as it hits the atmosphere, celestial refraction happen, very similar to regular refraction in optics, and then it diverges off. It scatters.
Then
up.
how do you answer a zenith position of a star or a sun directly over a geographical position of the Earth where there is no refraction?
Sorry, the siren's going off out there. Seriously,
I love the timing. I love.
You
the
really
timing.
are a good ball.
it's an ambulance. But stars?
Yeah, let's get back.
Why don't they
zenith,
bend?
Zenith position of a star or a sun or the moon. Directly
Mhm.
overhead.
Position.
There's no refraction.
Well, it's not bright enough to actually, to gather energy momentum in light ways to really visually scatter. But if stars were extremely bright as the sun, I bet that there would be some divergent lines going down eventually. As
I
it
thought light is not a wave.
Well,
Ah.
then you just agreed with me.
Let's not go on to that. Go on, 10th. Just give it a response. Then there's more cabbage coming my way. I'll say I'm
That's not
grateful.
all cabbage. That's a truckload of cabbage. That.
There is, yeah. There's a lot of cabbage. But
Wow.
carry on. Keep on track for a
can
second.
make a lot of force. with that.
10th. Go ahead.
Anyway, so Arwin, when the sun is directly overhead, that's the zenith position, and we've seen the pictures from the high altitude balloons. You could see the hot spot, and if you were right under, I mean, if you were in that hot spot, that would be the sun would be at your zenith. There is no refraction.
You're still in the atmosphere, aren't you?
No, that's coming through the atmosphere to the ocean surface as a hot spot. There is no refraction there. That is just directly overhead. There's no shadows even. That's the whole idea with Eratosthenes. Remember, it was directly overhead. There was no
I got a
shadow.
question.
and
What
then-
the hell is an
I
atmosphere?
don't know about any hotspot you're talking about.
Why was I getting rumpused?
'Cause I don't like
Eratosthenes.
the word atmosphere.
Excuse me, we're in baller world right now.
Fine, they're talking within ball context.
Eratosthenes-
I've got to address that now. Unfortunately, you can't call foul on that because they're talking within the context of a ball Earth. They're talking about Eratosthenes. They're talking about what they claim happens on the presupposed ball Earth. So you can't say, you're begging the question. Yeah, they're talking about how it should work on a ball. So you can't really call foul on that, Neil. Feel free to continue, Tenth.
Yes, I'm going to post a picture in Master B right now. And if you would please put it up, this will make my point visually. And here it comes. Tell me when you got it.
Yeah, you're up. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. There's that famous Eratosthenes. And there's, you see that one ray over the pillar on the lower pillar. There's no shadow whatsoever because it's at its zenith. There's no refraction. But the one over there in Alexandria got a shadow.
Yeah, sorry, but it's not taking into account the atmosphere causing celestial refraction. So this is just not
No,
correct.
that's where was there?
Stop. Hold on. Didn't we just cover that? Hold on. No. Please don't do that, Arwen. Don't go around in circles. We've covered that.
Hey, you wanted me to be.
No, I
bold,
didn't.
right?
That was Godzilla. I don't want that. I was happy with the old Arwen that was concise.
But you can go all Nathan Oakley on me if you want to.
I don't want to, Arwen. I don't want to. Please don't make me. God. Anyway, right. While that interlude's just happened, so I'll do another couple of quick shout outs. So shout out to Del West Watson, who says more cabbage for you. Thumbs up. And then Godzilla, who says cabbage for you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Also, Tony Whitcomb, who's given me 100 English pounds, which is a massive, massive super chat. Wow. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. He says, go and purchase some massive molecules so you can go to that fake place called space. Indeed you do. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Go ahead, you two.
May I
Feel free,
continue?
continue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Arwen, was Eratosthenes breathing air when he recorded his findings?
I don't know. I wasn't there. Probably.
So this atmosphere of theirs, right, within the baller language here, he was on Earth saying that there was no shadow at one point, and then he was saying 500 miles or whatever away there was a shadow.
Okay.
So that included the atmosphere. So why are you trying to get rid of the atmosphere or use it as some kind of filter?
I don't see the problem here. Celestial refraction is just going to diverge it like that, and yeah, it will still arrive and basically cause that angle of the apparent sun change. So
the picture that Nathan's got up with parallel rays, is that how it arrives, or is it the other picture that shows the sun's rays diverging?
It's the same bloody question. Yeah, I am getting annoyed. Same question. So bendy parallel, you say, Arwen?
No, it starts straight and then it ends up bent.
So bendy parallel then, Arwen?
No, it's not bendy and parallel straight at the same time. First it's straight, then it bends.
Well, then you can't have had Eratosthenes figure out the circumference of a sphere if that's
Correct.
the way it happens.
Correct.
Arwen, what rate is this secondary bending?
So, you can ask him in a second. Just say that again, Tenth. That's the conclusion. Yes, correct. 10th. Yeah, then you can't do what's on screen. Yes.
You can't have.
Good question. It's actually an R-based bending. So
don't deflect. Don't deflect. Then you can't. Eratosthenes could not have measured the circumference of the Earth if it's bent.
Why not?
Please say yes, Garvin. What do you mean? Why not? Because you've got bendy parallel. Oh, let's get him what he wants. Let's just chill. Let's just take a breath. Count to 3. It's Arwen. It's Arwen. It's Arwen.
I got one more slide, Nathan. Go to the last slide I put up. It's more detail.
Okay.
Right. And by the way, on record, I don't see the problem because I'm kind of losing oversight at this point, but I'll try to sit through it.
Yeah, and ain't that just the point? Yeah, that's why the ballers do it. Because if you can confess to you losing oversight, then there's a good chance that the audience have also lost the plot along the merry way that you've led them. So, God, as this has been a slight interlude, another quick shout out to James Richard, who says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. End quote. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, James Richard. Really appreciate the support. Hopefully
That's
that
from
doesn't...
the Bible.
Yeah, I knew that one.
Exodus 24:6.
So do you have that last slide up, Nathan?
I do. Go ahead.
All right, so here it is. This is how we get the circumference of your globe, Baldwin. Eratosthenes had 0 refraction at the well in Cyan because it was directly overhead, zenith position. And if the sun's rays come in parallel, then he could figure out from the center of the earth the exact angle to know what the radius would be to get the circumference. But if light comes in at an angle, funny angles, or divergent, ball game over.
Why? It's just going straight, then it bends a little in a corner, just like light going into an aquarium bends in a corner, and then it goes straight on from there on. I don't see the problem.
Not in his measurements.
No,
it doesn't.
because all of celestial navigation and anything having to do with the radius for the circumference has to have light coming in parallel for it to work on an arced surface. Now, if you're on a flat surface, it doesn't matter how the light comes in,
Okay.
because you're only finding an angle from your horizon up to your zenith and what's in between. So it all works on the flat Earth, but never on an arc globe sphere.
It works perfectly. You don't seem to
Ah,
understand that when you're looking straight up, there is almost no refraction. You moron, you utter moron. You don't understand anything about this, do you?
Oh, really? Was
You
there a
idiot.
shadow in Cyan?
Yeah, so there's no refraction. So all the refraction crap
there
you've
a
been talking about
shadow
is
in
completely
Cyan?
irrelevant.
No,
You
no,
do
no,
not have
Hello.
refraction.
Hello, can you stop
You do
rumpusing
not
rumpus?
have refraction when you're looking vertically.
Say that again.
What?
You do not have any refraction when you're looking near vertical. So all the crap you've been talking about refraction
well,
is
thank you.
utterly,
What?
utterly, utterly, utterly invalid.
Well, thank you for
Then why
agreeing
do
with my
sun rays
position.
come in divergent, Rumpus?
So I didn't hear that
It
you
would
overtook
have
one.
to
I
be
didn't hear that
vertical
question.
as well, or that would make no sense.
Sorry,
So
can you say that
when
again,
light
Arwen? I
goes
didn't quite
through
catch the first word.
multiple layers of different densities, it doesn't refract, Rumpus. Is that what you're saying?
When it's coming through, if the layers are orientated perpendicular to the light, there is no refraction. So, for instance, if you get a glass block and then you point the light directly perpendicular, face on to the block, the light will not be refracted. Only if you put it at an angle. So therefore there is no refraction when you're dealing with the cases where the layers of the Earth's atmosphere are perpendicular to the light rays. So the chit-chat you've been going on about for the last 15 minutes, well, 10 minutes, I only caught it for the last 5 or 10, is utter drivel and just demonstrates you know nothing, of course, because you're science deniers. You know nothing about science. You know nothing about refraction. And the parallel issue you're talking about is absolutely irrelevant as well, because you take the center of the image of the shadow, so the parallelism of the light of the sun is utterly irrelevant. The point is it centers around that. You take the shadow around the center of the what you're getting. There's only a 0.5 degree lack of parallelness, but that just means you get a slight penumbra. So you can just focus on the umbra. So if you do that, that means you're getting it from where there is no you get a nice small shadow. So providing you concentrate on the umbra, all this issue about light rays being parallel goes out the window. The refraction issue goes out the window. So every point you've made is utterly, 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 utterly wrong.
So it's
Are
not
you saying
parallel.
light is not parallel?
That's what I was about to ask.
Right,
You
the
just
sun,
confirmed that.
the
What
sun
was the
has
variance that it's not
the sun,
parallel?
Hold on, Rumpus.
the sun has
Hold
an
on,
angular
Rumpus.
size
We
of
heard you.
0.5
Rumpus,
degrees.
Rumpus. Thank you. Go ahead, Adam.
Now, just to, if you could just clarify the statement, just how much off parallel? You gave a figure to it, Rumpus. I just didn't catch it. That was all.
I did. Right, the figure is 0.5 degrees. This angular size.
okay.
Who's playing something in the background here? The angular size of the sun is 0.5 degrees. You can just measure that yourself. It's the same size as your, I think it's your little finger when you hold it up at arm's length. Put your hand up. That I think the little finger might be, I can't remember, it's 0.5 or 1 degrees angular size. Now you can put that up against the sun, you'll see this obscured by, I think it's a little finger. And I think that actually might be 1 degree, but so it's half that. So you can then measure the angular size of the sun with your finger and then say that's 0.5. That means that the light coming from the sun is 0.5 degrees. So from your eye, you see 0.5 angular size, which means the light is not quite parallel coming to your eyes from the sun, but obviously the middle of the sun is. So that means that's why you get penumbra on shadows. But if you put down a stick and you measure the middle of the shadow, then you've effectively got the middle of the sun. So you can ignore the issue of the angular size of the sun, providing you focus on the umbra. And that's what people do. So all that issue about the lack of parallelism is completely irrelevant. And as I said, there's no refraction either.
Show us a
You don't know what you're
penumbra,
talking
number
about.
one. Number
You're a
two,
moron.
when you invoke refraction, what type of refraction are you talking about?
Any sort of refraction. When you're dealing with the layers of the sun.
No, not any sort.
Refraction because
No.
the light's coming perpendicular to the surfaces.
Terrestrial refraction, sir. So,
It's neat.
can you
No,
please
there is no
provide the
refraction, full
radius
stop.
of the Earth?
You're a moron. There's no refraction.
Oh,
Terrestrial
yeah,
refraction is
thanks.
just a
You
different.
lose
It's just
again.
talking about the sort of refraction you might meet as a
Call
result
me a
of
moron.
using
Air is
lower
not the
angles.
atmosphere. Second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth. Double speaking every friggin' statement out of
You
that
don't even know the difference
size
between
piece
entropy
of
and
shit you got.
Okay, a couple of quick shout outs. So shout out to Powell Broder for hitting the super chat. Really appreciate it. Doesn't say anything, just gives me €20. Thank you very much indeed. Also shout out to James Richard. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images that say to the molten images, ye are our gods. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat.
That's the
Isaiah
Bible too.
42:17.
I mean, Q is so stupid. He's scared of actually
Q
getting.
is
Oh,
so
God.
stupid. You're the stupid one.
Roll on
Don't
the
even know
outcomes.
what science is. Tells us that natural laws we just made up. Air is not the atmosphere. Among other train wrecks, documented train wrecks of disasters. You should be imprisoned.
By me, Q.
You're a
Every
fraud.
time I demolish
You don't have
totally,
no idea with what
every
you
time.
speak of.
When you haven't got
What
a
type
mute
of
button, you
refraction,
get
please?
demolished by me every single
What
time.
type of
There's no such
refraction
thing as
were you
natural
speaking
law.
to,
That's
please?
that's a legislative
Okay, let's
thing.
get us back on track.
There's-
Rumpus,
we have the
Rumpus,
laws
I'm just
of
gonna
nature.
Rumpus.
You
Hello,
make
can I just
natural law
hello,
up.
Rumpus. Thank you. Just want to shout out one more super chat. Shout out to Godzilla37 who says cabbage. It's not just money. Apparently, it's also the filler between Rumpus's ears. His last question to you was, what type of refraction are you invoking? You haven't answered yet.
There is no refraction in this situation we're just talking about of any sort. I mean, it's quite simple. If you knew Snell's law, which
invoked it.
obviously QE doesn't because he's a moron,
You
he would realise that there is no
invoked
refraction. But because
refraction
he's ignorant of
2 minutes
science,
ago.
No, he's not going to let you reply. He's just going to roll on about 25 ad homs. Can you let him reply, Rumpus? Is there any chance of that?
do what, sorry?
There's no refraction. Then he attempted to reply, but you wouldn't allow him, coward.
And show us this umbra and penumbra. I want to see the penumbra. I want to see a photo in Discord right now. I'm headed there right now. I want to see a photo of the penumbra.
Just get any picture of a shadow.
Just any picture of a
Put-
shadow. Really?
I
Do
tell
you
you what,
know
I
how
tell you
your own fairy tale heliocentric spinning ball space monkey religioners
You're a moron.
invoke a penumbra?
Get your finger out. Put
They
your finger
use
in the sun.
divergent
Just do it
rays.
yourself.
Are we getting
Get your
divergent
finger out
rays
in
from
the
the sun?
sunshine and get it
Or
against a nice
convergent
white
rays of the
background,
sun?
and you will see an umbra and a penumbra. If you do not understand
show it.
that the existence of penumbra
Show
and umbra, I mean, you don't understand. You're
Show it.
worse
I
than
mean,
a
you're a
child. I
moron.
mean,
Show
you've got the knowledge of the real world of
Nathan.
a 7-year-old.
it.
It seems to me.
Nathan, I got it.
Right.
in
So you want a
Master
picture of a
B, please
penumbra?
go
Okay.
there.
You want a photograph
Show
of a
it.
penumbra? Okay. I'll see. Okay. I'll see if I can find one. I mean, this is just
what
amazing.
you-
I mean, this is just, you're a moron. That's what this is just.
You are an utter science denying
Yeah,
moron.
you're a moron.
Everything you
Show
say
it.
about science is wrong. The fact you've invented
Show it.
natural law as a term is
I
just
forgot more science
extraordinary.
yesterday than
guys,
you ever know in your
hello, guys,
entire
both
life,
you. Hello.
fucktard.
Hello. Okay, 10th. Which picture do you want me to put up?
Well, go to the one that's. Well, let's wait for Rumpus first. Yeah, let's wait for Rumpus first.
Okay, well, I'm having to do a
But
bit of
you can go there
research now,
first.
so I'm having to. Well, if you've got one ready, that's
No. I want to see yours.
okay. Well, I want to photograph it. Okay, well, I'm having a look. You have to wait, I'm afraid.
Okay, you have a look, Nathan.
Hey,
You
we're-
can show the modern science bogus theories about light rays. You can show that one that's got 4 suns and 4 Earths.
So what do you want a photograph of, QE? Do you want a photograph of a hand, for instance, or do you actually want
Penumbra.
a photograph of sorry?
And then the cause of the penumbra. Do you see in Discord right now, in live stream, do you see how the penumbra's caused? By convergent rays. Is there convergent rays in the sun?
Can you not see from the diagram how those are created? You're a moron. Can you not see the
I can
simple
see it.
geometry
I'm
there?
looking at it right now.
Right, so pick up. Right, so if we're looking at the bottom picture, which is the one I'm gonna, hopefully, which is the one with the black background and the blue and what's its sun. Right,
Yeah.
you should be able to see if you draw if you take the extremes of the sun and then you draw lines, you will see that the areas of the penumbra can see some of the sun, and the areas in the umbra there are no parts of the sun you can draw a
the red
direct
herring
line
to my point. Look at the convergent rays from the sun.
It's not convergent. They're all straight lines. This is just
Hey,
the
Nathan,
intersection.
he says these are not convergent.
You are
Hold on a
moron.
second,
I
man.
mean,
Hold
you
on,
just
sorry,
can't-
guys, hold on. Can you not launch into the outcome? So
tell you
just
what,
hold
can
on.
I share
I'm
my
just trying to
screen?
gain clarity.
Can I
Rumpus.
share my
Please,
screen, Nathan?
hello,
We'll go
please,
through this.
please, hello.
Can I share my screen, Nathan?
If you've shared
And I'll
it
draw a
in,
diagram for him.
sure you can, but I just want to gain clarity from both of you because I'm a bit confused. You're saying that what we need to look at is penumbra and umbra, and the description of penumbra and umbra has got convergent light as the description for the cause, but you're saying the light is running parallel as the description on screen shows.
I would. Unfortunately, I can't share my screen. You've made it illegal. You've got a no entry sign on sharing screen, so I can't share the diagram.
Post the image live stream and we'll get it put up on screen.
Well, okay, but I was going to do things like point at various bits, and then I need to be able to sort of draw and point and things.
You're
to
dead with
demonstrate how you're
just
getting
this
to
photo. So put
Sorry,
this one up
okay.
with the master being ball
Sorry, guys, can you not interrupt each other? Hello, let's gain control again. Hold on. I'm sorry, Rumpus. Let's just gain control. Don't talk over each other. I just want clarity. Are the lights from the sun, or is the light from the sun converging to cause umbra and penumbra, or not?
The light from the sun goes out in all directions. So at any single point, they've only drawn two, from any point, they've only drawn two lines. Imagine it's a star of radiating light in all directions from that surface. So all light from the sun is diverging. But when
It
we're
is
talking about
not.
the intersection,
Any light
listen, moron,
93
listen,
million
moron.
miles
So,
away
listen,
from an
moron.
object
You
that
I know you've
hits
got to
the
interrupt
Earth
me because you
must
don't
be
like the
by
answer. You don't like
definition
reality.
coming in parallel, you numpty dipshit. You don't even know geometry, for fuck's
The
sake.
area of the penumbra is the area of behind the
Shut
shadow
up,
where there
shut
is
up.
no
Post
point
this
on the
photo
sun.
up, Nathan,
If you
or the
assume that light
diagram,
travels
they're
in
done.
straight lines,
Hold on.
if you assume the light travels in straight lines, the areas of the penumbra can at least intersect.
The air is the
Part of
penumbra.
Guys,
not the
hold
sun.
on. Can I just hear the end of his statement, please?
Right,
Try
so
once more,
if
Rumpus.
you look at the penumbra, you can draw a straight line from any area in that penumbra area. You can draw a straight line from it to some part of the sun. In the umbra, you cannot draw a straight line from any part in the umbra without going through the earth. Therefore, that's in complete shadow, and the penumbra is in partial shadow because some parts of the sun light rays can reach the penumbra. You don't have to get worried about converging and diverging. All you need to do to ask yourself is, can a straight line go from the area of the penumbra
That's
to
not the
some
question.
part of the sun?
That's not the
And this
question, you
moron
numpty
doesn't
dipshit.
understand
Guys, I
basic
just want to
geometry.
get clarity, please. Thank you, Rumpus.
Is that not
So-
clear enough what I just said?
It is
that not
clear,
clear what I
but
said?
it's clear, but I'm still a bit unclear because you're saying it's to be considered as running parallel, correct?
Well, no, I said the angular-sized line is 0.5, but because you can take the centre of any shadow and you can see where it
Yes
goes,
or
what
no?
the angle,
Yes or no?
Hold on. Oh, can you see? And basically, you can see where the centre of the shadow is. Basically,
I heard all
so
that.
If you work to the
I
centre-
heard.
Yeah, well, okay. So if you understand the centre of the shadow, then you should
No,
realise.
I've
that
asked
your
the question
question's
about what I
irrelevant.
don't, and you're not giving me clarity. So you've said it's to be considered
what?
parallel. Is that a no? It's not to be considered coming in parallel.
You don't need to worry about the parallelism because you work to the.
Well, I do because the penumbra and umbra are described as having convergent light. So I do. That's why I'm asking.
No, they're not. No, it's a stupid point. That's a stupid thing to say.
So you're saying the descriptions of penumbra and umbra aren't describing convergent light from the sun?
There's no the light from the sun goes out in all directions from every
I
point.
heard this.
It's
That's the third
divergent.
time I've heard.
Right. So to then call about convergent, no, the light doesn't converge. No, the description of the penumbra you've got is wrong. All you
Okay, it's on screen for the
Then you
audience
better get
now.
with NASA
Hold on.
and Harvard.
on. On
Because
screen.
they're saying it is.
It's on screen for the audience now.
Umbra.
Hello. It's on screen for the audience now. It is showing light from the sun with penumbra and umbra caused by converging lines. Now that's as
Well,
far
the
as I can
lines are
ascertain.
converging,
Why are
but
you
there's no-
interrupting me? I'm just gaining clarity. Why am I being interrupted?
all
I'm not
right.
even part of this.
Okay.
Why are you interrupting me?
Okay.
So, you've just said no, nothing to do with convergence, right? Here's the depiction from the heliocentric model from the bullshit world of fantasy sphere, and it's got convergent lines on it. Now you're saying no, that's not the case. And you're also saying lines to be considered parallel. So, which is it?
Those two lines are convergent, but that doesn't mean to say that the light rays from the sun are convergent. So,
Okay, well, if they're not convergent, then we have the depiction that's third down, and it doesn't create penumbra and umbra.
which picture you're referring to? I'm looking at the Discord thing. The last picture posted by Quantum Erasers. Is that the one you're
You
looking
don't
at?
need a picture. You can understand and accept that I've described the contradiction. You've said they're to be considered parallel, and I've said, okay, if they're to be considered parallel as depicted for my audience, then we don't get umbra and penumbra. Now, when I've asked you if we have convergent lines, you've said, no, we're not to consider them in that fashion. Well, if we don't, they don't produce penumbra and umbra.
The light rays from the sun are not parallel. That's why you get penumbra and umbra.
So when they're described as being parallel and a 93 million miles away sun could only give you parallel lines, you're saying they're not parallel.
Correct. They are not parallel.
So why does the heliocentric model describe them as being parallel? And why would we have Eratosthenes with his parallel lines coming in from the sun when you're saying they're not parallel?
Because you can take the center of the shadow and regard that as your parallel. So you can ignore all the umbra, non-parallelism crap. Because
And
you
what
take
about the
center
stuff
of
that's
shadow.
not central? And it's the stuff.
Can make shit up.
I
It's
missed the first word. I missed your first start.
It's the stuff that's not
You're on
central.
drugs.
Oh,
You know how many globe arguments
right.
you
The
just
way it
debunked?
works is for the
That's-
Eratosthenes experiment, you consider the center of the shadow. So you don't have to worry about the
You consider
non-parallelism
the
of
center
the
of the
light from
shadow
the sun.
for what?
From your angle.
What angle?
If they're all parallel,
Well, the
what are you
angle
talking
that's
about? What
measured.
angle?
Well, there are several angles. There's the horizontal angle, and then there's the
The
angle.
horizontal angle of what?
The angle from the top, the angle that's described in the diagram
top of
that was
what?
given by whoever, 10th man. He was showing you angles. That is using the angle to then determine the fraction of the Earth you've got, and from that you can then work out the radius. It's really simple.
No,
Well, you don't understand the
What are
basic
you
maths,
talking
do you?
about?
You
No,
don't
we're
understand
not
any
talking
parts
about
of
the
this, do
radius
you,
just
QE?
yet. We'll
You
get to your-
understand
that
nothing
with
about the
your
geometry we're
extreme,
talking about,
very
do you?
extreme refraction. We're talking about the penumbra, sir.
We don't need to
Kiwi,
worry
I
about the
could
penumbra
tell
because
you-
we're
I
going
could
with
tell
the
you what
center of
he's
the
talking
shadow.
about here.
Sorry,
He's-
Don't worry about it. We're on the penumbra.
Guys.
So hold on.
Just
Hold
one
on.
at a time.
Is the discussion about Eratosthenes, or is it about penumbra and umbra? Because he can ignore the penumbra
Penumbra,
umbra issue
you
with
dumbass.
Eratosthenes.
The penumbra and
So hold on.
umbra
Is the
is
discussion
created.
now
It's a
about the
penumbra.
Eratosthenes?
Hold on, let's get back on
validity, or
track.
is it
Hello,
about
everyone, shut
penumbra
up a
and umbra?
second. Sorry, everyone, shut up. The penumbra and umbra is created by convergent light. Is that what we have with a 93 million mile sun?
The light goes out in all directions. It's left because the the Earth is in the way. Then the only light that can get to the penumbra, you could talk about it being. It's not really convergent. But it's just lights going out in all.
So then we don't have umbra and penumbra then, because that's what creates umbra and penumbra.
The umbra and the penumbra is created by not being able to go to all points on the sun. I mean, just do it for yourself. Just try drawing lines
The
from the
penumbra is
penumbra.
caused by not points having to go all the way to the sun. That is an incoherent gibberish.
What is? So I missed the start of your sentence.
Saying
What
that all
you just
points going to
said.
the sun creates penumbra and umbra. No, it's not. According to every diagram I've ever seen of penumbra and umbra, it's created by convergent light from the sun.
Is that the definition of penumbra is where only some of the light of the sun can reach. And in the umbra,
Show it.
no part of a straight line from the sun can be drawn to it without intersecting the Earth.
No straight
Show
line.
it.
It's really simple.
So we don't have
The
parallel
light
lines to
rays
the
are
sun.
straight.
So we don't
The
have
light
parallel
rays
lines to the sun. So when you said we
correct.
could consider them parallel, what did you mean if you're saying none of them are parallel now?
as far as you see the shadow we've got there in the umbra, we do not need to worry about the penumbra and the lack of parallelism to determine where that umbra is and the angles associated with it.
But you're telling us we do
that's
need
not
to
the
worry
point.
about it to prove that this is what you're claiming. So we don't need to worry about it after all.
Which
So
claim
why bring it up? Why bring up umbra and penumbra at all then?
I missed the start of that sentence again.
So why bring it up?
Why bring up what?
Penumbra and umbra.
Well, you brought it up. I didn't. I thought it was irrelevant. I was telling you
No,
you
you
brought
brought
it
it
up.
up.
Yeah, you brought it up. You came in and challenged us based on what was happening with Eratosthenes.
It's
Parallel
irrelevant
lines.
to Eratosthenes.
Parallel lines being used, and we juxtapose that with the convergent light
irrelevant,
that's
yes.
being used in penumbra and umbra. And you're
Yeah,
saying
it's
don't worry
irrelevant.
about penumbra and umbra when it comes to the parallel
Correct,
lines.
it's
And we're saying,
irrelevant.
well, why bring
It's
it up then?
irrelevant, yeah. You brought it up. I was dismissing it as rubbish.
Are you going to go around in the same
It's
circle again?
relevant now.
Twice in the
Let's
same
try
circle?
again.
Okay, so are they parallel?
Was saying
You've told us they're to be considered
10th
parallel.
man was
Are they?
claiming that the light rays were parallel or not, and I'm pointing out it doesn't matter.
I
The
wasn't claiming
parallelism
that.
of the light rays does not affect the
I
validity
wasn't
of the
claiming
Eratosthenes
that. Your
experiment.
model claims that. Be quiet for a minute.
Sorry?
I wasn't claiming that. That's your model claims that.
Size of these
light comes in
things.
parallel.
Hold on, let me make his
Yeah,
point.
that's what he
Go ahead,
meant.
go ahead.
You were claiming
Oh,
the model
God.
was claiming that. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Right,
model's
so
claiming
Nathan,
parallel.
there's a slide I put up there that shows 4 suns and 4 earths, and it shows all the different things that Rumpus is now trying to rumpus us on. Can you go to that one?
These last 2
Master
pictures
B.
didn't work. They've not worked.
Which
Okay,
diagram are
I'm
you
going to
referring
send
to,
it to you
10th man?
anew. I'll just send it afresh.
Okay,
Just look for it. I'll be there in a second.
no worries.
You're going to post it. You're going to post this in.
We'll figure out the admin. Yes, indeed. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. I think there was more cabbage. So let's have a quick look. Yes, indeed there was. Cabbage is not just sending money. Apparently, it's also the filler between Rumpus's ears. I think I had that one. We've also got Happy Cabbage Day from... Who was that from? Slipped off page. Guru. I've said that correctly. Thank you very much indeed for hitting the super chat. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. Also, below this video, there is a link to get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.